again, we're in a very unique business, okay, and our business is international, so we're very much affected by the currency exchange rates, the stock markets, global markets. So we kind of got to be ahead of the curve, not to get hurt. There's been a lot of people in my industry, in my business, that have gone out of business just for being over inventoried, to being undercapitalized. So to me, it's always you got to think ahead of the curve, I think, and look what's going on in the rest of the world. As a matter of fact, the current situation with the dollar as strong as it is, we're going to lose a lot of our international shoppers here in the U.S.
Right, because they're not going to get more power for their money across.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's less expensive to buy right now in Europe, sometimes 20-30% less on monster luxury brands, which is a concern now, today.
Right.
So to me, it's a skill to know how to prepare and adapt for something like that. That's in our industry. I can't really speak for others, but I'm sure that the whole luxury industry in the U.S. right now will be feeling a difference with the dollar getting strength.
Sure.
Yes.
So are there any lessons as an individual, though, you've learned about yourself? Like, and I don't mean a lesson in terms of business, which that's very applicable to every business. Because no matter what, like what you just talked about right now with the dollar, it impacts every business indirectly. Sometimes even they don't realize it. They're not, but tourism stops and less traffic.
100%.
And so supply and demand kicks in and everything changes the dynamics of every business. But is there a core lesson you can share with our audience that you as a person have grown to learn? Like something that you have learned about yourself in terms of as a businessman, what you are about, what you're not about.
Me personally, I'm the type of person, I'm not afraid to take risk. I always weigh out the risk and reward. As long as it makes sense financially, I'll take a shot. You cannot be afraid to take risks in life. Scared money doesn't make money.
Right. So your risk tolerance ultimately has increased a lot through time. Like now you can do a lot more that.
I like volatility.
Right. So I mean, you take risk, but the reward gets greater the greater the risk. You talked earlier though about the difference between being 40 and kind of like minimizing that risk or deferring that risk at that point to kind of look to the future. Would you recommend that young people today consider that a benchmark, like 40 as kind of a good age to kind of start transitioning, or do you yourself think that perhaps older or younger, really depends on what you've made?
I think everyone's different. I think some people like to start families earlier. I don't have any children yet, but I don't have any children yet because I've been working 24/7 for the last 20 years.
So you chose not to?
Kind of.
It's the opportunity cost of business.
Yeah. So I adapt and overcome.
No, very, very cool.
Yeah.
But this is really interesting because you have a wonderful life. You work really hard. You've now grown this beautiful platform, and I think that a lot of people are going to look at that and say, well, I want to be equally successful, and they don't realize how much hard work it takes, how long it takes to actually build up to that, to what you've built today. If someone was in the jewelry business today, what would you tell them in terms of how long would it take for them to expect to stick to something before it becomes successful?
I'll tell them, don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay, that's a strong word.
Our jewelry watch business has changed tremendously with the internet.
Yeah, it's completely changed the platform.
Absolutely. The margins have gotten very small. Everyone knows what everything is worth. Everyone's aware of every brand just by a click of a button. So it's a completely different business. It's very hard to go and start a new store and get established. It took us 30 years to get where we are. I'm grateful and feel blessed that we're here, but there is no way that I would start from scratch in today's world. It's basically
like knowing what you wouldn't want to compete with all the stuff that's going on.
It's very difficult. It's one thing to be, one-man operation going from show to show, making a living. It's another thing trying to build something to be able to hand down to your kids. That, to me, it's physically impossible today, in my opinion. Of course, considering that everything is web-based. It's easier to start a store on the web today than to build a bricks and mortar store. People told me I'm crazy for doing this, but
no, which is why we were kind of really interested, because you've succeeded in this model, and a lot of people have not. I've actually interviewed jewelers who went out of business who are saying we went to brick and mortar and now we're back online. But you're kind of like pursuing this, and you're doing beautiful at it, which is why
I choose to sell an experience. Like you said earlier, you come in, our staff is trained. It's a very warm welcome. We don't push you. We build an experience here. We build relationships here. We build a very warm environment that's supposed to be inviting. Luxury to me is an experience.